I have been on a crusade to help busy solopreneurs reduce or apply friction in their lives to help them achieve their goals. And when you are staring at a blank page, just a cursor, that feels like so much friction preventing you from doing what you need to do. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, well, it's really hard when you have writer's block to write. But I feel the same way about AI. Solopreneurs waste a lot of time trying to figure out what to ask their AI or typing the same thing over and over and over again. And this leads to inconsistent results and probably some missed opportunities. And so I've been thinking a lot about an AI swipe file. I've been using AI a lot more. Longtime listeners will know that I'm AI hesitant, but I have finally found what works for me. And so today I'm going to tell you how I'm using AI tools. This is probably going to be a recurring quarterly thing. We'll talk about the power of an AI swipe file and some tools you can use to manage your AI swipe file. Now, if you want my AI swipe file, it is included in my free automations database, which you can find over at streamlined.fm/join. Put in your email address and you will get access to 40 plus automations, including my AI swipe file, which is managed through Text Expander. We'll talk about that later. But first, I want to get into like why should we have an AI swipe file? And I think it's, I see a lot of stuff on social media saying like, oh, act like you're a copywriter or act like you're a doctor. And like I've said, like telling ChatGPT to act like it's a doctor is like telling George Clooney to act like it's a doctor. It doesn't really make it a doctor. The you don't need to tell it to act like something to give it context. You can just give it the context. And so, I was trying to figure out I hate writing my own bio. Like hate. And so I was, trying to figure out how to write my bio. And I figured let me just ask ChatGPT. And I had a couple of really good prompts kind of saved in other AI places or in like previous AI chats about like, what do you know about me? I'm really focused on this. This is my target audience. And so I realized I can kind of combine them into creating a decent bio. Now the bio, I took it, I modified it, but like the broad strokes were there. And that was super helpful, right? Because like, bios kind of follow a pretty decent format and then I added my personality to it. So let's start with kind of how I'm using ChatGPT and other AI tools. I think another reason that I wanted to talk about this was because I am trying out Google Gemini. It comes with like the advanced version comes with Google Workspace or whatever it's called now. And I figure, if Gemini does as good a job as ChatGPT, I can move everything over there and it's got similar like projects and custom gems or whatever. Every tech company is trying to do the same thing as the other to reduce or increase competitive edges. But anyway, that's another reason why I think a swipe file is good. So here's how I'm using ChatGPT. In full disclosure here, I asked ChatGPT to help me come up with an outline for this episode where I said, how am I using ChatGPT? Like use actual examples. And so this is like, it hopefully knows how I'm using it, right? So here's how I'm using ChatGPT and other tools. Writing podcast show notes. You may have noticed that there's a disclaimer at the bottom of the show notes saying like, hey, ChatGPT wrote most of this based on the transcript. It's thanks to my swipe file and like some custom instructions in a ChatGPT project. I don't have to do a lot of rewriting. I still have to do some, like it starts off pretty rocky, not very good, but by the time it gets to like the here's what you need to know section and the top takeaways, it's really good. So I have been using it for that. I use it to proofread a lot of my stuff. This is one of the main reasons one of the main things I'm using Gemini for now too, is because Gemini integrates directly with Google Drive and the Google apps like Docs. I am writing in Google Docs now, and I'm saying like, hey, proofread this. But again, this is all stuff I have in my swipe file, so I don't have to like retype it or try to remember what I said. So it is proofreading email newsletters and articles for me, making sure it's clear and grammatically correct and all that. So outlining podcast episodes like this one, literally wrote that in the outline. And then I'm also using it for my coaching and discovery calls. So I will have it take a recording of a discovery call, summarize it, and write like a first draft of that proposal. Like, what is the problem? Or, I heard their biggest problem was this. Did I miss anything? That sort of stuff. And that's been really effective for me to both tailor the proposal to my potential coaching clients, as well as know the broad strokes that I could hit in a video. I always send a custom video to my potential clients in the proposal, outlining the proposal and what I heard and reinforcing like, hey, I'm here for you. So that's been really good. Creating SOPs from, again, video recordings has been really helpful. And then I'll do these podcast power hours, and I always send this really extensive blueprint document afterwards. And ChatGPT has been really helpful in creating that for me. And that's you'll get this prompt in my swipe file if you go to streamline.fm/join. Streamlined with a d.fm/join. I say like, hey, this is a power hour coaching call with name. Their biggest problem is fill in the blank. I want 3 things from this call: what I promised to send them, their action items, and a summary of the call. And then crucially, I say I use this Google Docs template for the deliverable. Please use what I have here to create your output, right? And it's like so good. It uses that output. I'm really, really impressed by that. So again, I'll usually go in and finesse and make changes as needed, but having that in my swipe file and subsequently in ChatGPT projects, this is the other thing I'll talk about in a little bit too, but ChatGPT projects has been really good for a lot of this stuff. So that's how I'm using AI. And I think no matter how you're using it, having a swipe file is going to be really important just to make things easier. Again, to reduce that friction. I think there are a lot of really good uses. And a swipe file, which let's define swipe file, I guess. A swipe file, a collection, this is from ChatGPT, a collection of prompts, context templates, or use case examples that get you consistent, high quality output. So you're not starting from scratch. You'll get better results, and it'll be consistent, right? This is something that I was always worried about when I was using ChatGPT to help summarize things. Is depending on the day, I would change the wording, and I maybe would forget to add some important context. And with a swipe file, it's been a lot better. So here's what I include in my swipe file. I have a few prompts for my clients. One is how to define an ideal listener avatar, because I think this is something that's just really important for podcasters. I think podcasters try to talk to everybody when they should really try to talk to one person. That is something super repeatable, really, really helpful for both me and my clients. Another podcast related item in my swipe file is I am interviewing guest name for my podcast, Streamline Solopreneur. We're talking about, and then the potential title of the episode. So a real example from